able to even develop as a head coach. I mean, Zander, here, let's one thing on Nick here too. How much do you think that Jalen's inability to be able to run complex offenses has hurt Nick Sirianni's development as a play calling head coach?
Oh yeah, a lot.
So
Took away his
I
fastball.
thought about it last night.
I mean, you took away his fastball, so he can't do that anymore. He can't coach the way Nick Sirianni. I mean, it's actually a great point. Developmental curve, right? I mean, he was building an offense around Phillip Rivers. Then he comes to Philly, and it's like, whoa, now I got to relearn how to coach the RPO. I can't do that. Let me go get Shane Steichen, or let me put Shane Steichen in charge of it. You know, maybe that's a good point. Wow. What could Nicholas be?
I saw him with Phillip Rivers. He had his greatest year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, and Frank Reich gives him a lot of credit for that. Frank says this guy is great in designing pass routes, getting people open. I mean,
the question John always asks about the guy like McVay is like, if they're all so much better than Nick, why can't any of them beat him?
Okay. Here's something that I brought up earlier then. That's a great question. I'm not going to dispute it. When Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan lose a game, or John gets after Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan for not having good clock management, you're ripping those two coaches. That's one thing. When you're giving me 4 verts and it's Kevin Patullo, bro, there's a different conversation. You're losing with Kevin Patullo. I'm losing with Sean McVay. I'm going to win more fucking games with those coaches than I am with Kevin Patullo that matter. It's one thing to sit there and go, hey, you're right. Kyle could do a better job at clock management. He let that Super Bowl get away from him against the Patriots when he was the OC. McVay had some meltdowns against the Bears. He also had another one in another game, in a playoff game, that you questioned his play calling. Even the last year's Eagle game at the end there, when he got conservative in the last part of the third quarter and into the fourth, we were all going,
yeah, I just don't feel. I mean, Nick's never been out-coached in those games.
What?
I never thought Nick was completely out-coached in some of those games.
I never thought Nick coached anything in those games.
I mean, all right, TG. Man, a lot of people just think this guy's really along for the ride. I mean, I have a hard time believing that a head coach can be truly along for the ride, but maybe.
Well, Jimmy went for the ride. Jimmy wasn't. You think Jimmy called play calls over North Turner?
Well, no, but Jimmy. Well, that's what I mean. Jimmy was responsible for everything around it that allowed that play calling to thrive.
And he would jump their ass Monday morning, going, "That sucked. We need to do this. We wanted to go here." You know, but the difference is that Jimmy had complete autonomy over the entire operation. Nick doesn't.
Well,
I don't know how you could be a great coach when you don't have a lot of say in a lot of things, like your own personnel.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. My whole thing with Nick is you hired an offensive coach, and you know, if you want to believe what's true, you can't run any complex offenses. Like you just read the quote from Shady McCoy. Doesn't in a way that make Nick more creative, better? I figured out how to win with less complexity, with less schematics, with less talent, with less arm.
He took Dave's mentality.
Let me ask you this. How good would Sean McVay look if he couldn't pass the ball at the clip he passes the ball? How good would Kyle Shanahan look if he was limited to running an RPO offense or a pseudo RPO offense?
He tried it.
So that's all. I'm just saying, look at the other side. That's not to say that it's a complete cop-out or bailout for Nick Sirianni, but I don't know, dude. That's pretty impressive. That's like, I use the phrase, take away your fastball. That's like a pitcher pitching a
perfect game.
A perfect game without a fastball. Right.
Right. With curveballs and breaking pitches. You're not throwing a Nolan Ryan heater in there.
Some people like Sileo will look and say, throw the fastball. You can't do what everybody does. Throw the fastball. The people with the noggin will say, look at that. Look at that versatility. Look at that ability.
You know what I say? Mr. Roseman, thank you very much for putting talented players on my roster.
That's true. That's true. It's not the perfect analogy.
Mr. Roseman, thank you very much for putting those guys. All right, Big Z. How are the Eagles better without AJ?
They're not. But he didn't make them great last 2 years, so can also make an argument he wasn't the reason that you were on the pedestal. I mean, let me ask you. Eagles were, let's use 2024 where they were.
They're 25-9 the last 2 years with AJ on the team.
Okay. Let's use 2024 instead of 2025. If you ranked the most important players for the team's success, for the offensive success in 2024, where would you rank A.J. Brown?
Okay. I would rank Barkley number 1, and I would rank AJ number 2.
Oh, that's asinine.
Okay.
You do not believe that.
Here's why, folks. When you've got a threat out there like that, and you've got to constantly account for that threat.
Here we go with the pseudo threat, the invisible threat.
You think it's any coincidence that there was another guy who had 2,000 rushing
yards?
You're
telling me the threat on the outside is more important than
you're telling me
Landon Dickerson.
You're telling me that you think that Barkley would have ran for 2K if you didn't have AJ Brown on the team? Never happened.
Never happened without Jordan Mailata.
Never happened.
And Lane Johnson. And
never happened.
Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson.
Oh, I see. So you had those guys last year, but what'd they do?
They were a shell of themselves. That's the point.
They missed 3 games last year combined.
My whole point is that the team has not been held up, by AJ Brown recently. You've been saying it for 2 years.
Hang on. You're telling me you don't think AJ being out there is not the same?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
So if you were ask yourself this. If you were game planning the Eagles, who would you game plan right now as your top three concerns on your football team heading into an Eagle game? Who would they be?
Saquon, Jalen's legs, and Goddard.
No, Jalen's legs are not a factor anymore.
Well, but you still want to take it away because that's what defenses do, so they can turn them into a passer.
So you think Jalen's legs are more of something you're going to game plan against?
And that's not what I said. I said they're more important for a defense to take away.
Okay.
Because if a defense can take that away, you force Jalen to be a passer. If you try and take away A.J. Brown, you're going to lose half the time.
If I'm game planning the Eagles right now, you're telling me, give me an order, the players of concern to you on a game plan.
Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts' legs, and then A.J. Brown.
But Jalen doesn't run anymore.
It's still a big part of the puzzle.
Dude, they're not game planning
the
him.
The threat of it still exists, Sills.
They're not game planning.
All right, so you're telling me that defenses aren't even trying to stop him running the ball anymore? That's BS, dude.
They don't have to. He doesn't run it. He ran 130 times last year.
He didn't run it as much because the defenses were taking it away. They had 8-9 guys in the box.
Bro, they took what away? You couldn't get anything going for. So wait a minute. They stopped Barkley and Hurts?
You're missing what I'm saying. You're asking.
I am.
You're saying that the 2 best players that you take away are Saquon and then AJ. I agree with that. I'm saying if I'm a defensive coordinator, it's more important to me to make sure that Jalen Hurts never runs because that impacts every other play. If I try and take away AJ Brown, I might be successful half the time.
Hurts was a non-factor last year in the run game.
Still have to take
I don't think teams were even in the mix of trying to stop him.
They were trying to stop it.
They didn't run. He didn't run.
So you're saying his decline in running had nothing to do with defenses?
I'm saying defenses are not game planning him anymore.
AJ is the biggest weapon, Trey Daniel, but that's not in this offense. He's not.
He's the second best.
You can be the second best weapon, but if you can't pass the football well to begin with, that significantly decreases the impact of that said weapon. If you have Matthew Stafford and you have A.J. Brown, you better take away A.J. Brown.
So when I'm lining